This is Ryan Cantor, and in this video, we're diving deeper into the Clemson spring game. To help me do that, we have JBMagni. He has his own YouTube channel that's excellent. I can't recommend it enough. I've been watching it for a while, and I reached out to bring him on. He's got some great insights for us. Jason, thanks for joining.
Thank you for having me.
So I know you were on hand for the spring game. Obviously, kind of the two star offensive players were two walk-ons, but despite that, I still think we learned a lot from the game. Dominic Thomas was awesome. He was on the orange team, got a lot of carries, had 63 rushing yards and a touchdown. And Banks Pope, a tight end who I think most of us never heard of before for the game, a walk-on, had 67 receiving yards. And he was beyond just him. I thought the tight ends were excellent. I wanted to start there. Your thoughts on how Clemson used the tight ends, Banks Popes, Stool, and really the entire group.
Love the tight ends. I'm excited to see how Garrett Riley utilizes them this year. I think Clemson Nation, you can see it on social media, has been really pushing Jake Stool. We all think he's going to be that big-time tight end target this year. I've been a big proponent of his. He was #1 high school tight end coming out as a recruit. Third-year guy now. They list him at 6'7", 230. I mean, all the ability in the world to be a true difference maker at tight end. And then, Sage Ennis, he went down with injury. Josh Sapp, I thought, popped to me. I mean, he's impressive, pretty athletic. And then Banks Pope is a walk-on to have that mean receiving yards. You just see that they're going to utilize the tight ends a lot more. And then to see the two freshmen that we have coming in, it's going to be a really good room.
Yeah, I thought Josh Sapp looked good. That was the first I've seen of him. I thought he flashed. That was encouraging. Kind of the flip side, I thought the wide receivers were once again kind of disappointing. Antonio Williams would be fine. Cole Turner got open once, and Cade underthrew him, but they're still not that explosive. I don't know why I expected a big change, but I'm a little disappointed. I don't know if you are as well.
Yeah, I'm not that disappointed considering the fact of who all was missing. I don't think we have a great room, certainly not what we've had in the past, but I don't think they're as bad as some people are thinking they are. I mean, when you have 7 scholarship guys out, that's pretty difficult. The orange team had 2 walk-ons and a true freshman starting. And so the white team, I think what we saw, if we all know Antonio could be a playmaker for us. He's going to be good no matter what. You did mention Cole getting open on that deep route. I think that's a big positive sign. His speed and athleticism to really take the top off of defense is there. And we saw flashes of that last year. So I think he's just going to get better. You like those two going into the season. Brandon Spector, I think we just know what he is right now. I don't think he's going to be a huge impact player for us. And then those other 7 guys, can we find 2 or 3 guys that can really make plays? And I'm optimistic that we can. I like Bo Collins. I think he'll be a good starter for us. The coaches rave about Adam Randall. I think he's going to be a guy that probably have an impact for us this year. And then we get 3 freshmen coming in, Ronan Hannafin, Tyler Brown, Myson Kelly. We'll see if one of them can be an impact. But it's not a great room, but I think it's a little bit better than what some Clemson fans think it is right now.
Yeah, Noble Johnson, he looked fine, but didn't have any huge plays. Didn't jump out off the page or anything. They did mention that he was, quote, swimming a bit in camp. That he's physically ready but still learning. So I was kind of hoping that he would maybe burst on the scene and make an immediate impact. But I get the sense that may be a November type impact with him.
Yeah, he was one of the guys I definitely focused on being at the game, and he was unfortunately matched up against Shelton Lewis, who I've been raving about. I think he's going to be a really good corner for us. To me, of the 3 corners that we signed, he was the best one on tape, even though he was the lowest rated one as a recruit. And he honestly just locked up Noble Johnson. And that was a bit of a concern for me because I view Shelton as probably more of a nickel corner in that Malcolm Green light, whereas Noble Johnson is your outside wide receiver that should be bigger, more physical, be able to make plays. And honestly, to me, he's going to have the same problem that Ngata had, not having the ability to create separation. And we'll see, obviously just a freshman, but I wasn't that impressed with what I saw. So I don't know if he's going to make an impact this year or not.
Yeah, so speaking of Shelton Lewis, the secondary I thought really showed out. I mean, everything in a spring game is kind of flip sides of the same coin. We're disappointed in the receivers. We're excited about the defensive backs. But I thought they were outstanding. Nate Wiggins seems like he's just going to keep going from where he sort of left off. He was pretty bad at the very beginning of last year. He looked like a star by the end of the year. It seems like he's taken it to another level. Makuba, everyone knew about his dislocated elbow, but he had knee and ankle issues. Seems like maybe it was the injuries that held him back so much last year. He seemed good. Mickens, I go on and on. I think he's the most underrated player, at least on the defense, maybe the whole team. He had 3 picks last year. He had a pick in this game. And Khalil Barnes, another guy I know you did a video about on your site, on your channel. I thought he was awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Khalil Barnes was incredible. I mean, big hits on the screen, the interception return for a touchdown. He really broke on that ball to pick off Azina. And that was actually not a bad throw, in my opinion, either. I mean, it was from one hash to the other sideline, but still, he broke on it really well. I mean, again, off the screenplay where he just blew up. I can't remember the receiver, but he just destroyed the screenplay. Yeah, he definitely flashed. And if you look at his high school tape, he's a great playmaker, a guy that's going to be very versatile in the secondary, nickel, dime, free safety, strong safety. He's sort of in that Makuba position where he can play a lot of different positions. But I agree with the secondary. Nate Wiggins, true number 1 lockdown corner, in my opinion. I think he's going to be that guy that can play his way into a first, second round pick this year. I think AJ Terrell, Trayvon Mullen type impact this year. And hopefully we find a really solid number 2. And we have plenty of options. Sheridan Jones, Malcolm Green. I thought Toriano Pride looked pretty good.
Yeah.
And then Jaden Lucas, who was injured. I think put all the potential in the world, former 5-star. And like you said, RJ Mickens, underrated, just so consistent, playmaker. Then you add Jalen Phillips, 5th-year guy. Tyler Venables, 4th-year guy. Even Sherrod Kofel's a guy that can play as well. Secondary is going to be so much better than what it was last year.
Yeah, and it was really bad last year. I think it's the area on the team that will see the most improvement, which will go a really long way. So as we keep kind of going flip sides of each coin, I thought the quarterbacks did not look sharp. Cade had 2 picks. Vizina, I mean, he had 9 yards and 2 picks. He really struggled, and it seemed clear he was behind Hunter Helms. And they said on the broadcast that he's probably going to redshirt, which I think is great because they missed on a couple of QB recruits. So you kind of pushed him back one, kind of solves that issue and gives him more time to develop. It also makes that Paul Tyson transfer that they took from Arizona State make a heck of a lot more sense. At the time, it seemed really weird. Seemed like they're so tight on scholarships. Why are they doing it? Now it seems pretty smart. Any concerns about Cade or the quarterback room in general, or is this just, they didn't have a bunch of their receivers? They, can't scramble really all that.
Yeah, well, to me, Cade's the thing I was most worried about. Cade is just he's still the pocket awareness just isn't exceptional. I'm not so worried about the 2 picks. I mean, Jamal Anderson jumps up, makes a great play on the end zone, and then Nate Wiggins on Cole Turner. We're talking about a literal, legit number 1 corner against Cole. He's mismatched right there to tip that ball and get picked off by Makuba. I don't really blame Cade on those throws. The one that I was disheartened about was when Cole beat Toriano Pride on that deep post, and Cade just severely underthrew him.
Yep.
And I think the arm talent isn't, obviously it's not DJ or Trevor, but I was hoping it was a little bit better than on that throw. Hopefully that was just a complete miss, but I was worried about that, and I was worried about his pocket awareness. He clearly has a lot of work to do still. I am kind of concerned. I think number 1 kid coming out of high school, we thought Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence. It to me right now, it definitely doesn't seem like he's going to be that guy, but he doesn't have to be in order for us to win an ACC championship when we return to playoffs. And so I think he'll be fine, and he'll be good enough to get us to that goal. As far as Vizina, the arm talent is definitely there. I mean, he's got a liver arm than Cade does, but clearly he's freshman, 17 years old, made a lot of mistakes. He definitely needs a red shirt. And yeah, like you said, we have missed on targets, but he'll be a freshman again next year. So not that big of a deal. Paul Tyson, like you said, big acquisition. I actually thought Hunter Helms looked pretty good, pretty accurate with the ball. Whether he's going to be the number 2 guy or Paul Tyson, I don't know. But yeah, sort of disappointed, but they also were missing 7 wide receivers. So I don't know.
Yeah. Another guy I specifically was trying to watch as much as you can, keep an eye on offensive lineman was left tackle Tristan Leigh. They said it was first team versus second team, or first team offense was together, but they were missing the entire interior line. Putnam was out. He was at his brother's wedding. Tate was hurt. Parks was hurt. So you really just had the tackles. But I did keep an eye on Tristan Leigh. And with one exception, I thought he generally looked pretty good. I'm curious if you have the same take, or if maybe you noticed something I didn't.
Well, I noticed inconsistency. I noticed plays where he looks like the 5-star recruit that he was, and then I see plays sort of echoing from the coaches where he's just a very inconsistent player still. He gets beat at least on 3 times on pass rushes by 3 different defensive ends, TJ Parker, Maskell, and Armin Mason walk-on. And you can forgive the Justin Maskell one. I mean, it's a 6-year guy. Losing to him, there's no shame in that. But TJ Parker's should be a high school senior. Armin Mason's a walk-on. My worry is once we get into the heart of the schedule and go up against better teams, he might struggle at left tackle, and that's Cade's blind side. We need a consistent left tackle. I hope he has a big summer. He's the guy that I really want to be our left tackle. But I just saw inconsistency, and hopefully he has a huge summer and gets a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, to me, you've got to avoid the musical chairs that it seems like we do every year. We got all these starters coming back, and then we put them all at new positions, and then they take nearly the whole year to settle in. And you basically waste the returning experience. So he's one that I think kind of unlocks a lot for this offense. I'd really like to see him do well. We briefly talked about Dominique Thomas, but we didn't talk a ton about the running backs. Let's circle back there. Thought Thomas obviously looked great. I thought Maffa also looked great. He had one play where he just lowered his shoulder and totally trucked Mukuba. It was one of the best highlights of the game. Will Shipley was out with knee tendonitis, but I kind of saw enough from those two, and even Keith Adams Jr. looked good. This first time I got to see him kind of extended run, and he's a hammer. So I'm way more confident in what we got in the running backs room than I was before. Even if one guy is out for a game or two, I think they might be okay. Maybe between the tight ends and running backs, maybe that's what the offense has to lean on a little bit. What's your thoughts there?
Well, I agree with that assessment. And you hear coming out of spring, they're working a lot of two-back sets, Shipley and Maffa on the field at the same time. Yeah, Maffa's a beast. I definitely think he needs more touches. He should have gotten more touches last year. Shipley's obviously, we know who he is. I think those two, one of the best 1-2 punches in the entire country. And yeah, I mean, Dominic Thomas, Keith Adams Jr., I think they showed enough that we can be comfortable with that running back position in case one of them does go down. And then you add the two freshmen coming in, although neither one were highly recruited. Both have ability. Based off what I saw, it does look like Dominic Thomas is definitely going to be that number 3 guy. I mean, he looked like a guy that can actually play football at a Division I level.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've maybe buried the lead a little bit here, but the guy who stood out the most to me out of everyone on both teams was Peter Woods. He was a defensive tackle. I thought he was just dominant, fast. You could see him running back upfield when he needed to, pushing people over. Sometimes you want to like kind of tamp down the hype, but boy, did he live up to it. And Coach Sweeney in one of the interviews said that we'll see him early and often. I mean, what did you think of him, and where do you think he could get on the field?
Yeah, I mean, he's everything that we thought he was. I mean, there have been freshmen in the Dabo era where coming out of camp or spring, you just know that they're going to be elite. Trevor was that guy, Deshaun Watson, even going back to Sammy Watkins, announcing him the starter in like the first practice. Peter Woods was everything that we thought he was. I think he was the number 1 high school recruit in the country. I've said that in some of my videos. And just the ability to turn speed into power is incredible. He can play across the entire defensive line. He can play the nose tackle, the 3 technique. They can line him up at defensive end, the 5 technique, the 4-eye. He's such a versatile player. And his just speed, power, the combination is just elite for someone his age. But I mean, not only Peter Woods, I think we all are expecting him to have a big year. He's going to play a lot this year. But Stephiylan Green looked like a guy that can definitely impact as well. I think he's going to be a 3 technique. He's probably just going to stay there. I don't think he's going to move around like Peter Woods will. But man, he's a powerful kid, athletic kid. He really popped during the spring game as well. And so I'm impressed with both of those guys. I'm really excited about their future. That defensive tackle room is loaded. I mean, it has to be the best defensive tackle room in the entire country, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, it is so deep with Tyler Davis and Rook both coming back. I kind of wonder how Peter gets on the field as much as he probably should. And I wonder, Maskell I thought looked fine, but he's 5 years in and he's never posted a decent PFF grade, which matches my eye test. Cade Denhoff looked really good. So maybe, you got a couple pieces of defensive end, but what did you think of the other defensive ends? And you think Peter Woods just has to move there?
Yeah, I think we're definitely going to see Peter Woods get some snaps at defensive end. But I thought Denhoff and TJ Parker, in my opinion, as well. I think those 2 guys solidified themselves in that backup defensive end category behind Xavier Thomas and Justin Maskell. My big worry, and I think for all Clemson fans, is what happens if XT or Maskell get hurt. Who's going to be that guy that steps in? And I think Peter Woods can be that sort of Christian Wilkins that had to make that transition from defensive tackle to defensive end. his sophomore year. I think Peter Woods can be that guy. If one of them were to go down, I think the coaches would move him to be the starting defensive end, and he definitely showed that he can do that. But I mean, I like Denhoff. I liked what I saw at him, and I liked what I saw at TJ Parker. I think they can play, and I think we're going to need both of them to win this year, in my opinion.
Well, thank you, Jason. Thanks for joining us. This was great insight. I appreciate it. If you're not already subscribed to this channel, please click subscribe below, and definitely check out JBMagni over on his YouTube channel as well. It's definitely worth your time. Jason, thanks.
I appreciate it.